Well, we've officially been living in Germany for 1 year now, and when we first arrived, we made a video revealing all of our first impressions of living in Germany. And today, we're here to go back and reflect on those to see whether or not they still hold true after a year of living in Germany. Tons and tons of ugly buildings. That was one of our first impressions of Hanover, especially coming from Madrid, Spain, where the buildings and architecture are just magnificent in the center. However, our views on this one have changed quite a bit, and that's because we've learned more about the history of Hanover and how much it was bombed during World War II. About 90% of Hanover was completely destroyed by bombings, which is why they had to rebuild the city so quickly, and there are a ton of buildings, especially apartment buildings, that look just about the same. And now that we've lived here for a year and explored the city a lot more, there are tons of beautiful historic buildings that did survive, and really we don't notice the functional, more ugly buildings anymore because they're just part of the city, and especially understanding the history, it makes complete sense. One of our very first impressions about living in Germany is that it's super bike friendly, especially compared to Madrid, anywhere in the US, just almost anywhere we've ever visited. And that definitely still holds true today. I mean, we use our bike to get around almost everywhere. It's super easy, it's faster than public transportation, it's way faster than walking, and I'd say it's really, really safe. A lot of the bike lanes are protected and you're away from traffic, plus almost everybody cycles, so you're surrounded by other bikes, as well as all the drivers also bike, so they look out for cyclists. It's something we love about living here, and a first impression that definitely still holds true today. One of the things we noticed the most when we first moved to Germany was that people could drink alcohol in public, and you saw it quite often, people just stopping at a kiosk, buying a beer, and walking down the street drinking it. This is something that's illegal in most of the United States and even illegal in Spain. But here in Germany, it's completely legal and it's completely normal. And it's something that, while it caught us off guard at first, we don't even really notice anymore, and we kind of like. It's nice to just be able to grab a beer and go to the park and drink with friends without having to worry about it being technically illegal, or even just grab a Fußpilz and walk around and drink it yourself. So one of our big first impressions of moving to Germany, and I guarantee if you've watched any other YouTube from expats in Germany, it's one of theirs too, it's on every single list, is that places are closed on Sundays. And while this was a big shock for us, especially coming from Madrid, where stores and grocery stores are open on Sundays, and coming from the US, where our families did a lot of grocery shopping on Sundays from time to time, or at least we had the option to do that. Now, everything being closed on Sundays is something that's become a bit more normal to us, and it's something we don't find ourselves noticing too often. After living here a while, it kind of became normal. So if you've watched any other Living in Germany YouTube, you know that crossing the street when red is something that generally does not happen in Germany, and that was definitely one of our first impressions. It was a bit shocking when the pedestrian light was red and there were no cars coming in either direction, and people just waited and waited and waited until it turned green. But now it's something that's become totally normal to us, and that we actually do when we travel to other countries. So I guess it's something we've become a little bit more accustomed to doing it the German way. Now make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you like videos like this about what it's like living abroad in Germany, as well as other videos about traveling all around Germany and the rest of the world, so you get notified of all of our other videos right when they come out. Now, let's get back to the video. One interesting thing we first noticed when moving to Germany is simply how complex and complicated, especially for someone not from Germany, the recycling system is. And after living here for a year now, we actually find that to be a good thing, because going to other countries where they just throw everything in one bin, or maybe just separate it out a little bit, it doesn't seem like it works as well as the recycling does here in Germany. Now, while we're not 100% sure of the facts behind that, that's just kind of our feel, and we feel like Germany does recycling right. They really care about it, that people separate stuff out, and we'll even point it out when you do it wrong, and we don't 100% have it down pat and understand exactly where everything goes, so we have to check our little cheat sheet that our landlord gave us, but overall we understand it way better than when we did when we first moved here. So good job with recycling, Germany. The amount of green space within the city is something we noticed immediately when moving to Hanover. And while we can say Hanover is a very, very green city and they do a great job of having parks and a lot of green space, trees, grass, everything like that in the city, it's perhaps because it's a little bit less dense than some other cities. Overall, Germany does that very well, but Hanover in particular does it great because it's a little bit less dense. And it has the Eilenriede Forest, which is the largest urban forest in all of Europe. So it's something we really love about living here. So if you've been following us for a while, you know our German is not great. In fact, we don't really speak that much of it, which is kind of embarrassing after having lived here for a year. But one of our first impressions was that when you ask people if they speak German, they usually just say a little bit, but in reality, they speak a lot. It's definitely something we were spot on with our first impressions. And honestly, we think Germans speak English really well, and in fact should be proud of that because something is right in their education system. Whereas we know in the US, a lot of people only speak English and do not speak another language. Another one of our big first impressions of Germany was the meal times, and it's that they were more similar to the United States than they were to Spain where we were living last, where they generally have a very late long lunch as well as a late dinner. And this is something we really liked about Germany because eating dinner so late, especially on a weekday, and then having to wake up early just didn't quite sit right with us. Now on the weekend, that was a different story. We liked the later dinner and having that availability. Whereas here in Germany, we find that a lot of places close early. So by 9 o'clock, for example, on a weekend, a lot of places aren't even serving food anymore. I hope you can hear me over the bells here, but that's something we just don't really like, is that a lot of places do close early for food, especially on the weekends, where we wish they were open later, but overall, we like the meal times better. So given that I'm living in Germany, of course I had to come to a beer garden in this video. And with that, we're talking about the beer sizes. So in Germany, compared to Spain especially, the beer sizes are a lot bigger overall. Here in Niedersachsen in northern Germany, they're generally about a ½ liter, although you can get a little smaller, a 0.3. Generally, it's a ½ liter. And compared to when we were just in Alicante in our food tour, for example, which you can check out right up here, I was sucking back those cañas so fast because they were so small compared to these big ½ liter beers. And it's just something we've kind of gotten used to here, and the ½ liter seems kind of nice, so Prost. That's great. That's gonna do it for this video. So make sure to stay tuned for other ones about what it's like living in Germany, as well as our travels around Germany and the rest of Europe and the world. So we'll see you over at our other videos. Bye.